Hello. Yeah, we're back with the C's. Uh, it's a bigger poll this time. It's 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 games. But there are three series actually, so they'll all come out in one go. So it probably won't take that long. The first one is a game, or actually a game in its own right. It's a compilation. So, I don't know. I think my can you, that thing that I had the operation about back in March, I think it's come back. Anyway, it's Capcom Generations 1, 2, 3, 4. It's basically it's like a history of Capcom arcades. It's actually it's a bit more interesting than just the basic compilation because it's a collection of four discs. Each disc has like a series of sort of games in a range, or as a collection of games in a series. Sorry, of Capcom's most well-known titles, like the Ghosts and I always forget what it is. Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins. But that's on the first disc. I can't remember. No, the first disc is sort of 1942. So it's 1942, 1942 Kai, 1943, I think. The second one is Ghosts. Let me just confirm I've got it right. No, wrong one. Oh, bollocks. But anyway, it's Ghosts, Ghouls and Ghosts. That's the one. The fourth one is it's more of sort of like an early Capcom arcade collection. It's a game called Son Son, another game called Higimaru, and what's the fourth one? Sorry, third one. X the X's, which is a sort of quite an early shooter. And the fourth disc is basically isometric run and gunners, which sort of the later is what's the later one? The later is Mercs, and then the first one is Commando, and then there's another one that's Gunsmoke. But it's actually the most interesting thing about it is that it sort of gives you it plots. So I want to show you actually. It plots the history of Capcom arcades. It's almost like from each machine, it actually tells you. I find it quite interesting. It's like the very first Capcom arcade machine is called Vulgus, according to this. Yeah, Capcom's first arcade game Vulgus was released in 1984. So there you go. There's like a list in order of all of their arcades, and it goes on right up past sort of Super Street Fighter into sort of the mid-90s, I think. Like, yeah, it's got Son Son and Ed X's here as well. But it's actually a really nice compilation. It's obviously they're ports of shit. Press something there. They're really nice. They're ports of the arcade machine of the arcade games. But yeah, they're pretty much what you'd expect. So obviously, they're all games that people know well. But apart from maybe the early ones, I mean the Higimaru, I think. No, that's the pirate one. Is a sort of it looks like a sort of a pirate version of Bomberman. Son Son is some sort of it's not Bubble Bobble. It's it looks fuck, what we're talking about. It's obviously taken the monkey mythology as its starting point, and it's one of these sort of early platformers with like a single screen, and you have to, it's one of those. But it's a worthwhile compilation actually, because purely it's not like the standard compilation, as in just sort of these are the games. It sort of goes, it almost tries to educate you, which you don't often get. Probably the most money I've spent on one game is this Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's it's a special edition. Don't really know what to say about this. Is it worth the money it goes for? I mean, I think generally all Castlevania games are collectible, whether they're the best Castlevania games or the worst Castlevania games. They always go for a certain premium. You know, you can mark it up, even the crappiest ones. Which is probably the most well-known thing about this game is that it's cost a fortune. I mean, I still feel a bit guilty about how much I paid for it now. I mean, it was sort of like a treat, a Christmas treat to myself. But I remember feeling really guilty when I bought it. But it makes me feel slightly better now that it's actually worth more than I paid, or generally I think goes for. But I think my copy's not perfect. I don't think it's got all its bits, and if it doesn't have its bits, that makes a massive effect on the cost. But the slight downside is that the spine isn't perfect. It's a slightly worn spine, which has slightly annoyed me. But yeah, well, it's as far as the game is concerned, it's pretty much, it's as good as you'd expect it to be. I mean, not games that go for a certain amount don't always live up to the cost that you have to pay to be able. But you might not necessarily get your money's worth out of the game, but you can't really fault it. But yeah, it is a really good game. I get lost. I get lost. I always get lost in games like this. I mean, I get lost. I get lost in quite linear FPSs. I get lost. Oh, I get lost generally. I mean, the worst place I get lost is always survival horror games. Slightly more open survival horror games. Another survival horror game is Clock Tower. Yeah, point and click, and it's takes a while to get going. A point and click, I think my favourite survival horror games are the ones where the protagonist is quite benign, redundant. They don't actually have a sort of physical way of fighting back. The only way you can get through the game is to run away. I think those are my favourite sorts of survival horror games because it's basically you just have to run. The idea as a survival horror game is you're supposed to be scared, and what better way is there to be scared than if you're being attacked and you have no way of physically defending yourself? Yeah, it takes a while to warm up. Then after a while, you start hearing the telltale sound of Mr. Scissors. Scissormans, that's it, Scissormans. Yeah, you start hearing them. Basically, you have to go and find somewhere to hide and hope he doesn't get in. You can fight him off, but I think being mouse compatible makes it more interesting because it's sort of it makes sort of the being a point and click. I think my point is it makes sort of the input of the controls sort of less immediate, which I like because it, when you start hearing the noise of him coming, you sort of start to panic. So you have to be really accurate with your mouse movements, because every second counts in that sense. But it definitely won't be for everyone because it is, like I said, it starts off slow, and there are periods when you're just walking around talking to lots of people. But I think it's you're in an office block and he's stalking you, killing people. That's in there. Interestingly, I think the continental version of this doesn't have blood on the shears. I think not the German version. But. Right, this next series is Colony Wars. We have Colony Wars, Colony Wars Vengeance, and Colony Wars Red Sun. One of these has got a knackered. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Where is it? There. Look, crack. That's what I was. Remember I was telling you about I keep spotting all the damaged cases. That's a prime example. But yeah, probably about as good as you're going to get when it comes to sort of space combat games. Which one's my favourite? This is another crack there. Look. Probably this one. This is the one I played the most. There's another one. Ah. This is the one I had first. Actually, it's probably the reason why it's my favourite. But it doesn't. In similar to Castlevania, I I sort of lose my bearings because it's space. It's now up and down. I tend to lose my bearings in that sense, whereabouts I am. But I don't like the things like the what they call the escort missions. I've never enjoyed escort missions. It feels like spinning plates. You have to sort of literally be everywhere, and you have to keep an eye out on who needs you at the most, who's in the most dire need of your assistance. But well, yeah, they're still really good games, and it's Psygnosis. I think Psygnosis is a sort of sign of quality. I mean, Psygnosis generally are pretty reliable, and they make brilliant. I really like their light effects. I think they are actually connected. The storyline's connected. I think the first one, the original one, can't really remember. Sort of the original one, you play one character or one part of one faction, and the next one you play a part of another faction. But I can't remember. I've not like I said, I've not played a lot of all of them. Like I said, the one I play the most of is Red Sun. Two games again I've not played too much of is Command and Conquer and Command and Conquer Retaliation. I don't have Red Alert. I think when it comes to games that I would like to be good at, but not, I think everyone's got one of those. You really would really like to be better at a certain sort of game than you are. RTSs are mine. I would love to be good at RTSs, but similar to Colony Wars, with the escort missions in Colony Wars, RTSs feel like spinning plates. I sort of lose track especially if I haven't got the control scheme down, really, really sort of down to a T. I lose track, and then things start to escalate, and then basically all hell breaks loose, and I fail generally. That's generally how it works. I need to keep calm under pressure, and that doesn't work. But I think if I can learn control setups, I think that gives me a fighting chance. But I used to have a game called KK&E Crossfire, which was relatively basic on the PS1, and that was okay. I could just about muddle through with that. But I had it at university, and the cleaners from my block of flats nicked it. Bastards. But yeah, Command and Conquer. Right, 5 games in the series. Get those out. Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, or Warped 3, Crash Bash. Is that 5? No, it's 4. It's 4. Crash Team Racing. I've not really played this one. I've put it in, but it's party games, and party games on your own are a miserable experience. I've always said it. Played Mario Party. I've played Mario Party 1, 2 and 3 on my own. It's just soul destroying. Makes you feel really lonely. The platformers, I haven't got number 2. I would ideally like number 2 because it's at the moment it's an itch I can't scratch. But yeah, the Crash. I don't really want to say too much about things. They're Crash Bandicoot games, so they're games everyone knows about. Preference of the two. I don't know. I like sort of the early games. I always seem to prefer the earlier games. This is slightly less sophisticated games in series like that. But the game I played most out of the 4 games is Crash Team Racing. I think I'd go as far as saying this is one of the games I got best at when I played it a lot. I think I might still have a a game save on my a memory card somewhere, which has all my times. I think I just got really good at all of the tracks, and then got a sort of a best time on all of the tracks. And then I used to play it with my friends. I used to play it a lot with my friends, and I used to like playing it with my friends because I got really good at it and I was the best. But and so then I would always try and wipe out their times on the the lap times, the lap records. But yeah, it's really entertaining, really accessible kart racer. Sort of one of the best things you can do in games like this is to outrun a homing missile on an arena match. And I love doing that. Driving around an arena match, and you know someone's fired a homing missile at you because it tells you, and you have to take evasive actions, and you pull like go around a corner, do like a big pull a U-turn around the corner, around a wall, and if you couldn't evade that homing missile, it gives you such a buzz. You have to punch the air. Yes, but yeah, probably goes as far as saying my favourite kart racer because. Obviously, most people's favourite kart racer would be Super Mario Kart, but I've not played anywhere near as much of that as I have of this, so I'd have to go with this. This is as far as kart races go, on the PS1, probably the best one. Although, that's just a matter of opinion, but interesting to see what other people think. And lastly, in the C's, CT Special Forces 3 Bioterror. I've got a gameplay video for this. It's third in the series. I don't have CT Special Forces, and the second in the series is Elite Squad. It's visually almost identical to Metal Slug. There's a certain nod to the Metal Slug sense of humour, but that's more in the animations and the sound effects, and also it's cartoony, so there's always a certain element of humour in a cartoon because of the sort of the caricatured nature. But I don't know whether it's the actual sort of the quality of the actual game engine or what, but you're forced to play it more slowly and be more tactical than like Metal Slug charging in and just throwing all manner of shit and firing, throwing grenades, firing at zombies, firing at Germans. Because they are Germans, aren't they? In Metal Slug games, aren't they, generally? Well, they look like they are. No, they're not, are they? They're just dudes. Nazis. When I say Germans, I mean Nazis. Yeah. I've not actually got too far. I find it quite difficult. Because there are certain sort of technical things which for me, especially for me, make the game difficult. And I think it'd probably I'd benefit from being not charging in as much, because I think that's pretty much how you have to play it. You can't really charge in, and because you get picked off, and the certain sort of technical, slight iffy technical elements will go against you if you're not careful and you don't pick your way through the game. But it's a competitor to the Metal Slug, but sort of a more tactical, more serious, slower game, technically not quite as polished and not as arcadey. It's not quite. It's like a less arcadey Metal Slug without a sense of humour. And I think these are budget releases because the manuals are just atrocious. Look at that. That's the whole extent of the manual. It's like 4 pages or 8 pages, and the last one is just basically rubbish. But CT Special. I do recommend them. Because, like I said, I've not got the first one, but I've got Elite Squad. So that's the C's. So pick them up. I don't want to drop these because. I'm so poor at picking things up like that. I'm just more like to go, and shatter. It would always shatter Castlevania. That's just the way it happens with me. But there you go. It's the C's. Look out for the D's. See you later. Thanks for watching.